I suddenly presented as an omega in the dorm and ended up in bed with Jason Gu, my childhood crush. The next morning, Jason glared at me darkly, demanding, "Who was that omega in heat last night?" Seeing the disgust on his face, I instinctively lied. How should I know? It couldn't be me. I'm a beta. I forced a smile, fists clenched tight in my sleeves. How could I forget Jason's intense dislike for omegas? To hide my presentation, I started avoiding Jason, declined his invitations to hang out, woke up at dawn, stayed out until midnight. When I saw his increasingly stormy expression, my heart raced. Convinced I'd slipped up, I immediately applied to move dorms. But as I left the housing office, Jason materialized behind me like a ghost despite having class. His tall frame loomed over me. "Evan, what did I do to make you avoid me like this?" Before sunrise, I sneaked out of bed with burning cheeks, clutching my underwear as I slipped into the shower, turning the water to a trickle. I glared at the damp spot on the fabric. Why was I having these wet dreams long after puberty? "Evan, washing your underwear." Jason's voice made me jump. I tried hiding the garment behind my back, but my frequent dream protagonist caught me red-handed. He gripped my waist, peering over my shoulder with his height advantage. "Someone's feeling needy." Jason grinned, plunging his hands into the soapy basin to wash the fabric himself. "Aunt Emily entrusted me with your care. If I mess up, she'll never let me visit again." I covered my flaming face, mentally repeating, "This means nothing." Jason's comfort with these jokes only proves he sees me as a brother. Humming cheerfully as he scrubbed, Jason looked absurdly domestic. "Your hands react to detergent. Leave the laundry to me." Ever since we became roommates, he'd taken over all chores. No one would believe the aloof business school heartthrob turned into such a house husband. We'd known each other since diapers. But when I first came to Jason's name during self-relief at 14, I knew my feelings had changed. Evan Young, hopelessly in love with his childhood friend, unable to watch the alpha dutifully washing my underwear. I changed the subject. "Jason, are you wearing cologne?" Lately I'd noticed his subtle scent. If I weren't a scent-blind beta, I think I presented. "Just body wash." He sniffed his arm. "Though my rut's coming up." That night, I collapsed onto Jason's bed burning up, curling into fetal position. I desperately inhaled his pillow scent until my body betrayed me. Trembling, I reached back and felt slickness. The room swam with intoxicating sweetness. It took me a moment to realize the sweet scent I'd noticed earlier was Jason's pheromones. Does this mean I've presented as an omega? My thoughts dissolved into feverish haze, though aware I shouldn't. My body moved of its own accord, trembling against Jason's bedsheets. It wasn't enough. Frustration brought me to tears as consciousness slipped away. The door burst open. Two pheromone signatures collided violently, saturating the room with explosive sweetness. What followed was kashim, pain, an indescribable pleasure, reducing me to shuddering sobs. Morning light revealed Jason's naked form beside me. Panic surged, ignoring the sticky discomfort trailing down my thighs. I scrambled into clothes and fled the dorm. "Evan, thank you," I mumbled while buttoning my shirt, forcing a smile at Ethan leaning against the doorway. Only after stumbling across campus did I realize my mistake. Wandering drenched in pheromones was reckless. Thankfully, Ethan intervened, taking me home. He provided omega suppressants and fresh clothes. "Evan, spare me the gratitude and don't you dare friend-zone me." Ethan groaned, finally blurting, "Did that Jason bastard finally sleep with you?" I choked on my water. "It's not, Dash. Cut the crap." He waved dismissively. "You reek of his pheromones." Heat flooded my cheeks. "Please, don't tell Jason." Ethan stared incredulously. "Why? He doesn't remember." My forced smile wavered. I showed him my phone's screen, multiple missed calls from Jason. Earlier, trembling hands had answered despite dread curling in my stomach. Maybe our years of friendship could survive this? Evan, you weren't in the dorm last night. Jason's gravelly voice asked. All right, lab all-nighters. I lied. Silence stretched before he rasped. An Omega went into heat here. Any idea who? Fingernails bit into my palms as I forced laughter. How would I know? Can't be me. I'm a beta. I hung up before my voice broke. The phone vibrated relentlessly. I crumpled onto the sidewalk, tears streaming as phantom aches pulsed through my body. The crowd flowed around my shaking form, oblivious to the shattered illusion of normalcy. But I knew there was no chance for us anymore. Because Jason despised Omegas, and I had just presented as an Omega myself. Whether this was fortunate or tragic, I couldn't tell. Jason remained unaware I was the one who'd spent last night with him. I wiped my tears, desperately clinging to the thin hope that if I concealed my secondary gender, maybe I could still stay in his life as a friend. Ethan's eyes glazed over as he processed my confession, his mouth forming a perfect O. That familiar conflicted expression flickered across his face before he suddenly burst into laughter. Evan, I've got your back. His fingers flew across the laptop keyboard. Want to hide this from that goo bastard? Let me wipe the dorm surveillance footage. The computer prodigy from our accelerated program winked, sunlight glinting off his straw blonde hair. Since things won't work out with Jason, maybe give me another shot? When I didn't respond, he pouted. You're not against Omega relationships, are you? It suddenly hit me this sweet-faced Omega had confessed to me last semester. Before I could react, Ethan pulled me into a hug smelling of cotton candy pheromones. Relax. I know your heart's elsewhere. Just wanted to make you smile. His gentle pats broke my last defenses. For the first time since presenting, I let myself cry openly. We returned to campus past noon. My blood froze at the sight of our dorm room 435 movers hauling out Jason's mattress while hazmat-suited workers sprayed disinfectant. The bathroom shower roared like a wounded beast. Mr. Gu ordered full sterilization and replacement of all fabrics. A worker explained. My stomach churned. This was beyond normal disgust. Jason was purging every trace of last night. The shower still ran an hour later. I found Jason standing rigid under icy water, his pale back muscles quivering like bowstrings. You idiot. I dragged his shivering form out, towels cocooning his 6 feet 2 inches frame. Evan, his choked sobs stopped me cold. I'm tainted. Calloused hands gripped my shoulders as he buried his face in my neck, warm tears mixing with chlorinated water. Can't scrub it off, no matter how hard I try. Each broken whisper carved deeper into my chest. Would you still want me like this? It took hours to calm him. His mood had finally stabilized a bit, but he still refused to let go, walking out of the bathroom attached to me like conjoined twins. After much effort, I managed to coax the 6'4" alpha into bed, yet he tearfully grabbed my sleeve again, insisting I lie down with him. Reluctantly, I climbed onto the narrow bed where we had to press close together. Suddenly, Jason frowned and started sniffing me with alarming intensity, his handsome face darkening like storm clouds. Evan, why do you smell like Omega? Thinking my own pheromones might be leaking, I nervously edged away. You're imagining things. Impossible. He bolted upright, and I've never seen these clothes before. He buried his face against me like a bloodhound, then spat out a name through gritted teeth, Ethan. I sighed in relief, explaining I'd borrowed clothes from Ethan. What exactly did you two do that required borrowing clothes? Jason's voice sharpened. I thought you rejected that guy. Is he harassing you? I rolled my eyes, telling him to stop overreacting. I don't care, Evan. Omegas are nothing but trouble. Stay away from them. What if I'm an Omega too? Biting my lip against a bitter egg, I cautiously said, Jason, Omega is just a secondary gender. You shouldn't judge people's character based on that. He reacted like I'd slapped him. Why are you defending that Omega? I told you, every last one of them is rotten. I hate Omegas. Period. As childhood friends, I knew exactly how much Jason despised Omegas. When we were kids during family dinners, his mother once joked about arranging an Omega marriage for him. Little Jason had nearly hit the ceiling, shouting he'd rather become a eunuch than bond with an Omega. His loathing extended even to his own alpha status. After presenting, he'd often lament, I wish I were a beta like you. To Jason, alphas and Omegas were both hormone-driven monsters. He routinely reduced Omega confessions to tears with cruel rejections, leaving me to comfort the heartbroken with tissues. Jason, I'd tell him, there's nothing wrong with liking someone. I love Jason. This secret buried in my heart for 6 years had become part of my DNA. I used to cherish my beta status until last night's harsh awakening. Scrolling through my phone, I texted Essa Jewelers cancel last month's ring order. Dispose of it, however. Apologies. My thumb hovered over the custom-designed couples bands in our chat history. The ache in my chest tightened. Those rings were supposed to accompany my confession. Now I already knew the answer. Since then, Jason's clinginess intensified. Following me to class was bad enough, but now he even invaded bathroom breaks. As I unzipped at the urinal, he peeked sideways. Evan, why is yours pink? Get lost. I snapped. Just as I was suffocating from this boundary-challenged alpha, Ethan suddenly forwarded me an Omega reproductive health article. Then casually texted, you guys used protection that night, right? My first instinct was to reply that betas can't get pregnant. Then it hit me, oh shit, I'm a secondary differentiated Omega now. I completely panicked. Ethan panicked too through the phone, telling me to grab an Omega-specific pregnancy test immediately while promising to accompany me to the clinic another day. Who's so important you're walking into traffic? Jason's puppy dog eyes followed me, radiating abandonment. I mumbled an excuse and bolted, detouring 3 blocks to secretly buy the test kit before sneaking back to our dorm with it buried in my hoodie pocket. He was waiting at our door like a scorned guard dog. Enjoying the door frame? My voice cracked. Forgot my keys. His jaw tightened. We entered in suffocating silence until Jason suddenly pinned me against the door, his breath hot on my neck. What are you hiding, Evan? I stayed mute, praying he'd drop it. Think silence helps? His left hand tickled my ribs while the right dove into my pocket. No. The little box glinted in his raised hand. Let's see what my Evan's been guarding, so. The cocky grin died mid-sentence. Omega pregnancy test? Jason's knuckles whitened around the box. I punched his shoulder hard, face burning. Give it back. You lunatic. He absorbed the blow without flinching. You're a beta. Why would you, unless horror dawned across his features? Did you knock up some Omega? Slept with one. Jason yanked up my sweatshirt. The fading love bites across my chest glared accusingly, marks he'd left during last week's drunken haze he'd conveniently forgotten. Who? He shook me, eyes wild. Ethan, that Omega you've been glued to? You fucked him? The slap echoed before I realized I'd moved. Jason, what the hell does Ethan have to do with this? He cradled his cheek, tears welling like I'd shattered his world. My stinging palm filled with regret. Before I could apologize, he fled down the hallway. My phone buzzed. Ethan's worried voice crackled through. Did you take the test yet? Oh my God. I'm dying of anxiety here. Did you read that fertility article I sent you? Getting pregnant during heat cycle is way too easy. My face burned as I started typing a reply to Ethan. But he cut in impatiently. Never mind. Those pregnancy tests aren't always accurate anyway. I booked you an appointment. Just get to Salt Lake City General Hospital now. After Ethan's whirlwind escort through various examinations, we waited for results in plastic chairs. Ethan tilted his head curiously. Evan, what would you do if it's really positive? I shook my head. Haven't figured that out yet. My palm rested on my abdomen, emotions churning. Not long ago, I'd been a supposedly infertile beta. Now there might be a tiny embryo growing inside me. 10 minutes later, I sat stiffly in the consultation room. When the doctor announced, no pregnancy detected, Ethan exhaled audibly. Yet an inexplicable disappointment flooded me. The physician adjusted his glasses cheerfully. Beta turned omegas rarely conceive easily, especially cases like yours, minimal pheromones, narrower reproductive tract than average omegas. He made an encouraging gesture. Tell your alpha to go deeper next time. My face combusted as I stammered agreement. That night, I bought anti-bruise cream for Jason's face. He's always been particular about his looks. But waiting in our dorm until 1 a.m., his bed remained empty. First time he'd ever stayed out all night. Tossing in my narrow bunk, I kept grabbing my phone only to hesitate over the call button. Wasn't avoiding Jason the whole point? Maybe this growing distance was for the best. Morning light revealed Jason's neatly made bed unchanged. My heart sank until I noticed water droplets falling from freshly laundered clothes on the balcony. My phone buzzed with his 6:30 a.m. text, a cartoon bunny waving a white flag cutely. I smirked, sending back a royal approval meme. He instantly responded with grateful for your majesty's favor. My laughter faded quickly. Jason's wonderful, which meant I had to hide my omega status harder. During morning lecture, Jason saved me our usual seats. We sat shoulder to shoulder, tacitly ignoring yesterday's fight. Good. This cautious distance felt manageable. Yet when class ended, his arms slung around me again. The new restaurant downtown got those tiger groupers you love. Lunch? Remembering my resolve, I shrugged him off. Rain chick. Lab's crazy busy this week. Jason Gu caught up to me. How about grabbing cafeteria food together? My lab senior's rushing me. I pretended to check messages to avoid his gaze. You go ahead. I'll order takeout after finishing up. Jason followed me all the way to the biology lab building at Q University that required fingerprint access, the one place he couldn't enter. Through the glass door, I mouthed "don't bother" at his furrowed brow before slipping away guiltily. I deliberately ignored Jason's intermittent messages during afternoon experiments. My lab senior suddenly grinned. Hey, Evan. Your rich buddy's being extra considerate. He just texted asking if we want gourmet snacks delivered as rewards. Jason had all my lab mates' contacts. Close call. I begged them. If Jason asks, tell him our lab's swamped. Especially me. A female senior teased. Lovers quarrel. My ears burned. We're just friends. Sure. Friends who pick you up after class daily. The group erupted in laughter, but promised to cover for me. Opening Jason's chat revealed 13 unread notifications, frowny face, cafeteria rice photo, without my Evan. Even food tastes bland. Stray cat stretching image. This tabby's gorgeous. Remember your perfect life needs cats and dogs dream? Let's adopt one. Scrolling down. Another message vibrated, frowny face, your majesty. Is court session ending? This humble servant awaits. I typed hastily. Don't come. We're pulling an all-nighter. Jason's delayed K. Felt heavier than usual. My strategy worked, minimizing contact. We'd been conjoined twins before, but my omega status was thinner than dumpling wrapper. No. Using lab excuses to leave at dawn and return late. Our interactions dwindled. Everything progressed smoothly, except Jason's worsening mood. I thought I was safe until changing clothes in our dorm when Jason barged in, fanning the air dramatically. Why does it reek of omega here? Panicking, I yanked windows open. That strong? Disgustingly potent. His nose wrinkled. My pulse raced. I'd used suppressants religiously. Could alphas smell through walls? Jason kept sniffing like a bloodhound. Betas can't tell, but some omegas leave scent markers like animals. He prowled closer. Alpha pheromones flooding the room. Still detect foreign omega scent. Who'd you meet? Let me check. The sudden pheromone surge stunned me. Hypocrite. Thinking me beta. Jason unleashed his alpha musk unrestrainedly. He crawled up my neck as his scent enveloped me. My face flushed crimson, brain fogging with instinctual response. I shoved Jason away and bolted out the door in panic. I wandered 4 full laps around a deserted grove before the scent clinging to me finally dissipated. Only then did my chaotic mind regain clarity. This couldn't go on. The dorm was private space. I couldn't stop Jason from releasing alpha pheromones there. Worse, he still thought I was a beta. Betas aren't supposed to detect pheromones. So how could I possibly ask him to stop? Anxiety drove me to circle the grove twice more before resolution crystallized. I needed to move out. Knowing Jason would object, I decided to act first. That very night, I submitted my off-campus housing application. The approval came shockingly fast. Within days, my academic advisor summoned me to return the dorm key. I deliberately chose Jason's class hours for this errand. But the moment I stepped out, a towering shadow engulfed me. Before I could turn, large hands pinned me against the wall. Jason, who should have been in lecture, stared at me with stormy eyes. Evan. His voice cracked. What did I do to make you avoid me? Who's avoiding? I deflected. Just swamped with work lately. Swamped? His bitter laugh echoed. Swamped enough to abandon the lab-adjacent dorm? To move off campus? He slammed his fist against the wall, trembling with fury. If those damn new roommates hadn't come knocking, you'd still be lying to me. His ragged breathing morphed into choked sobs. Why? What's wrong with me? When he looked up, tear tracks glistened. Evan, do our years together mean less than some omega? My heart clenched as I reached to wipe his tears. There's no omega. He jerked away, crying harder. Then explained the pregnancy test. Misunderstanding. Nothing happened. Then those marks on you. His trembling voice shredded my composure. Evan, stop lying. Even fools recognize mating bites. The web of lies suffocated me. Fighting tears. I forced nonchalance. We're adults. Casual needs. Suddenly airborne. I crashed onto the dorm bed beneath his weight. Tear-reddened eyes burned into me. Let me satisfy those needs. His beautiful, dangerous face dipped toward my belt. When I pushed at his cheeks, my fingers met dampness. More tears? Why not me? His sob-racked voice shattered. Do I disgust you now? A broken whisper followed. I scrubbed until my skin peeled. Please don't reject me. His stubble grazed sensitive flesh, drawing involuntary gasps, feeling my arousal. Jason finally smiled through tears. See? You want me to. The scorching breath against my bare skin sent shivers down my spine. A choked sob finally escaped my clenched teeth. Jason Goo. You absolute bastard. The moment my tears started falling, Jason froze like a deer in headlights, immediately releasing me. Yet the floodgates had opened. Weeks of pent-up frustration, anxiety, and heartache came pouring out. Buried my face in the comforter, shoulders shaking with uncontrollable sobs while Jason knelt awkwardly beside me, tentatively rubbing circles on my back. Eventually, he gathered both me and the blanket into his arms, his alpha pheromones wrapping around us like a security blanket. Enveloped in Jason's comforting cedarwood scent, I gradually stopped trembling, but then his breathing turned ragged. When I turned to look, something hard pressed against my thigh through the fabric. My eyes widened in realization. I swear, Evan, I'm not some creep. Jason stammered, blood rushing to his face as he clamped a hand over his nose. It's just, suddenly everything smells so intense in here. The truth hit me like a truck. My omega pheromones had been leaking unchecked this whole time. Our scents now swirled together in the air. Sweet vanilla blending with earthy musk in an intoxicating cocktail. My body burned with delayed understanding. My heat had begun. Jason's expression shifted from confusion to shock as he finally connected the dots. Evan, you're an omega? Every survival instinct screamed at me to run. I barely made it 2 feet before Jason's hand closed around my ankle. When I glared back, he released me like I'd burned him. Beads of sweat dotted his forehead as he fought against his instincts. Voice strained but gentle. Easy. I never hurt you. But the damage was done. My lungs filled with his potent alpha pheromones, reducing me to a trembling mess on the mattress. When Jason finally gave in, peeling back the comforter with shaking hands, I fisted his dark hair hard enough to tear out strands. Biting my lip raw couldn't stifle the needy sounds escaping me. Don't do that, Jason murmured against my collarbone, replacing my abused lip with his thumb. Let me hear you. Afterwards, Jason disappeared into the bathroom to brush his teeth. I lay staring at the water-stained ceiling, humiliation burning through me. The shower started running again, minutes later. Twice in 30 minutes? My face flamed crimson when realization struck. He stayed in there until the steam fogged the mirrors. Was he avoiding me? My stomach dropped. Jason had always hated omegas, and now his childhood friend turned into everything he despised. He probably realized I was that mystery omega from last month's mixer too. I chewed my thumbnail raw, remembering how Jason had scrubbed his skin pink that morning. This was all my fault, presenting as omega in our shared dorm, triggering his rut with my stupid pheromones. Our 20-year friendship lay in ruins because I couldn't control my own biology. Padding silently across the creaky floorboards, I grabbed my jacket and slipped out. Maybe some space would help. Maybe nothing could fix this now. The door clicked shut behind me, leaving our tangled scents and ruined trust trapped in that suffocating room. Since Jason couldn't bring himself to confront me harshly, I decided to take the hint and slip away quietly. I went to my off-campus apartment when suddenly my parents, who'd been vacationing on a cruise for over a month, video called. My omega father nestled happily against Aunt Emily, who wore sunglasses, and asked, "Sweetie, where are you? That doesn't look like your dorm." I explained I'd rented a place off campus. Dad immediately fretted. "Oh, why not stay on campus? It's not safe living alone out there." "Yeah, why didn't you ask Jason to move in with you?" Mom chimed in with a grin. I nearly face-bombed. These free-spirited parents had raised me with total independence. I'd even eaten most meals at Jason's house as a kid. Now that I was an adult, why were they suddenly worried about my safety? "Your dad's anxious about you being alone. Give me your address." Mom insisted. The second I shared it, they hung up abruptly. Weird. Scratching my head, I ordered delivery. But within 10 minutes, someone knocked. Since when did delivery work at warp speed? I opened the door to find Jason panting heavily. Instinctively, I tried to slam it shut, only for his hand to shoot out and block the door. The heavy impact left red marks across his knuckles. "Are you insane?" I yanked the door open, frantically checking his hand, but he pulled me into a crushing hug before I could react. "I stepped out of the shower and you were gone. You scared me to death," he murmured, his alpha pheromones radiating distress. After holding me for what felt like hours, he gripped my shoulders and stared intently. "Evan, I've thought about this for days. That omega who went into heat in the dorm that night was you, wasn't it?" His tone left no room for denial. I hung my head, defeated. A blush crept up Jason's neck as he cleared his throat dramatically. "You took my first time and just ran? Are you refusing to take responsibility?" Wait, responsibility? This was the same Jason who'd acted like his purity had been desecrated. Then again, he'd always been a traditional alpha. "You really won't claim me?" He shook my shoulders like a melodramatic soap opera lead. Say something. Evan. I shoved him back. You hate omegas. You swore you'd never submit to pheromones. Well, maybe I don't hate them anymore. Gaped. This guy had despised omegas since puberty. Had he been body snatched? Fine. Jason clutched his chest like a heartbroken heroine. If you won't take responsibility, I'll just have to court you properly. Court me? Before I could process this, he spun away, muttering, I need to prepare. You'll see, I'll make you say yes. He planted a quick kiss on my cheek and bolted down the hall, leaving me frozen in disbelief. The proper courtship began before I could even catch my breath. He doubled down on helping with household chores at my place. Amidst the teasing from lab seniors, he started showing up rain or shine with bouquets outside our research facility. He even attempted cooking in my rental apartment. They say alphas look hottest while cooking. Evan, don't I look good? I burst out laughing at his spatula-wielding pose. Sure. During post-dinner walks, Jason would beam at every neighborhood kid playing tag. Children are just adorable. I shivered at his saccharine smile. Since when you like kids? He straightened dramatically. Past is past. Present is different. He then posted publicly, this is Jason Gu. Official announcement, I now like omegas. Friends flooded the comments with question marks. One mutual connection wrote, did grad school finally break you? When his advisor dragged him to an out-of-town conference, I finally caught my breath from his relentless courtship. Meeting Ethan at the campus cafe, I confessed mixed feelings, thrilled yet terrified this springtime miracle might melt like morning frost. After all, Jason used to despise omegas. Ethan scrolled his feed despairingly. He finally dropped the act. At my puzzled look, he sighed. Nothing. He's genuine. Give him a chance. My cheeks burned. You think? Absolutely. Ethan smiled wistfully. Evan, be happy. Returning home, I was ambushed by a tearful embrace. I'm the dumbest alpha. Jason sniffled, producing a velvet box with twin rings engraved GNY. The G stands for me. Right? You like me too? Tears fell as I recognized my own abandoned design, the ring I'd dreamed of then given up on, now glowing in his palm like his radiant heart. Always did. You idiot. Our salty tears mingled in a frantic kiss. Foreheads touching, fingers interlaced. He whispered hoarsely, loved you since first sight. Nearly drove me crazy. Am I dreaming? His wonder mirrored mine, feeling like the luckiest man alive. Through giggles and midnight whispers, we traced years of mutual pining. Jason Preen learning I'd had a crush on him since sophomore year, claiming payment in endless kisses till my lips went numb. The essay received a generous tip for secretly returning my discarded ring design. As dawn broke, Jason's arms stayed wrapped around me, no longer uncertain spring ice, but the blazing summer sun. After finally pushing him away, he leaned in close to my ear with a serious expression. Evan, did you know we've already missed 6 years? Jason began counting on his fingers earnestly before me. If things had gone smoothly, we should have done this when we turned 18. Now we're delayed until 24. Even calculating twice weekly as bare minimum, we've missed approximately 630 rounds. We need to make up for every single one. He scooped me up, chuckling against my ear. Evan, let's start with 7 times tonight. Deal? I didn't fully wake until next afternoon. Jason sat beside me scrolling through his phone contentedly. Peeking over, I saw he'd already announced our relationship to everyone. All friends received his bragging text. Hey, Free, let me tell you a love story. Yes, the protagonists are Jason and Evan. We're together now. Thanks for the blessings. We'll last forever because my partner adores me. I shook my head laughing, inspired by his boldness. I dialed Aunt Emily. Mom, I need to tell you something. After hesitating, I blurted out, Jason and I are dating. Silence lingered before her surprised voice came through. Weren't you two already together? My turn to be shocked. What? Didn't you start dating in high school? Mrs. Gu once worried your puppy love would hurt grades, but I told her to let it go since your marks stayed fine. Dazed, I hung up to find Jason on the balcony, calling his parents. Wind carried fragments of his words. Get married right after graduation. Sunlight illuminated Jason's radiant smile. Happiness felt within reach now.